Yo, what is up, guys? It's Pedro here, and today we got some breaking news. The Washington Commanders have fired defensive line coach Sam Mills. So we're going to talk about why that happened, and we're going to talk about the replacement. I'll give you guys some information on him and why I think this was the right decision, and I'll talk about the possibility of maybe Ryan Kerrigan joining the staff. So if you guys are new, make sure to subscribe for Washington and NFL content. Also, check out Real-Time Fantasy Sports. And guys, I will have a separate video out recapping today's practice, but I think this deserves its own video. So I was there at practice and I was trying to get some pictures with some players. Got a picture with Terry, Jamin Davis, and Dax Milne, and that was great. And then my friend just lets me know, dang, Sam Mills just got fired. And I was like, what? Because it came out in the middle of, I guess it came out because, they had a press conference right after that with the new defensive line coach, which I'll give you guys a bunch of information about him. I really like, his background. I think he's going to do a good job here. But I was kind of just shocked, doing this in the middle of training camp before your first preseason game. It's kind of weird, I guess, and we'll talk about it a little bit. So I'll read this right here from JP Finley. It says, wow, Sam Mills out for the Commanders. The defensive line has not performed well with Mills in charge. Rivera calls the decision very difficult. So some other things. He says, I wrote this in January. Mills and some defensive linemen didn't have the best relationship. And Rivera said at this point, I felt something had to be done. So whether it was the relationship between the linemen, like we heard before, United's really had an issue with Sam Mills, especially early on. Same thing with Allen. In his first year, today, I think Jonathan Allen kind of said he was sad and, he felt like he was getting close to Sam Mills, but still. And then let's see. And then JP Finley said, not for nothing, the Commanders have had Ryan Kerrigan and Warren Sapp recently helping with the D-line. A lot of alphas on that line. So, yeah, Ryan Kerrigan's been there for a while. And who knows? He could get possibly, an assistant job now that they have that, spot open. Because they will, I think, Ron said there's going to be other guys helping out. But there's no official, assistant D-line coach like they had before. So something definitely to keep in mind. So this is from John Kimes. So obviously you can see the tweet right here saying he was fired, called it a difference of opinion. And then Jeff Zagania, sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, was elevated to D-line coach, had been an assistant for the past 2 seasons. And I was just going through Twitter trying to see the news. And then I see the Washington Commanders Twitter account, and they have a press conference, and it's D-line coach Jeff Zagania. I was like, what? But yeah, so I really like his background, though, so we're going to get into that before we get into some other stuff. So this is 7th season coaching in the NFL, and this is going to be his 3rd as an assistant defensive line coach. He's played, and I'll just read this here, but yeah, he previously coached with the 49ers from 2017 to 2018 and holding assistant defensive line roles with the New York Giants in 2016 and Houston Texans in 2013. He also played for 17 years in the NFL as a defensive lineman. You look at the stats: 219 games, 67 starts, and finished his career with 448 tackles, 26 sacks, 13 fumble recoveries, 11 passes defended, 3 forced fumbles, and an interception. He played for the Steelers, Panthers, Falcons, Rams, Dolphins, Colts, a bunch of teams, and won a Super Bowl over the Titans. So really, he's got a good background. And you look at some of the players he's coached, helped with DeForest Buckner on that defensive line, 2017, 2018, Eric Armstead as well. Then you got Giants, not sure in 2016 who was there. J.J. Watt was working with him in 2013, a little bit after he was getting, drafted, or, after J.J. Watt got drafted. So, I really think this is a solid hire. He is a very important part already to the D-line, for the D-line. He runs a lot of the practice too with Sam Mills, and now it'll, be just him. And he really doesn't have much of a connection with Ron Rivera if you look at it. So this is, I definitely like this. So kind of some other things. So during his 2-year stint with San Francisco, he played a major role in the development of DeForest Buckner. You guys can see this right here, the rest of information. With the Giants, got Damon Harrison. With the Texans, he worked with All-Pro J.J. Watt. So he's got, I like the background. I think he should have been the D-line coach from the jump. And I'm not, never going to be happy that a guy gets fired because, He's got a family. He just lost a job, but I think it was long over. Like, I think he should have been gone a while ago. Like, I've been saying this for a while. I think they need to bring in someone else to be that, to be the defensive line coach, because I do not think Sam Mills has done a good job. 2020 did a solid job, but again, a lot of that was against not so great defenses in the second half. And then you look at, last year, the D-line underperformed a little bit, but especially the outside guys did. And you got two Ferraris, right, on the edge in Chase Young and Montez Sweat. Two Ferraris. And those guys are basically just relying on their athleticism, not really doing many other pass rush moves besides just, relying on their athleticism, some bull rushes. And a little bit of that is on them. They got to take the onus and do it themselves. But at the same time, like, you're a D-line coach for a reason. You got to help these guys develop. You got to help these guys develop pass rush moves. It's not all on them, especially for being young guys. Like, you got to help them out a little bit. And, the results weren't there for both those players last year. Montez Sweat was a little bit different. He had a solid year, but he was out for a while. But Chase Young was definitely underperforming a little bit the first half of the year, and I think that's not all on him. I think that's Sam Mills for sure. So that is definitely interesting. And then right here, he said relieved defensive line coach Sam Mills the third of his duties. He announced he called it a difference in philosophy and said it's less about the D-line's underperformance last season and more about this training camp. So if that's true, I feel like something had to happen, like some confrontation or some argument about like how are they going to run things, because for him to get fired in the middle of training camp, like, that to me is a little bit weird. I don't think anything bad will come of this, just because they're promoting from within. So Jeff knows everything that they're doing and he will be fine. And maybe then this is what I want to talk about. They will promote possibly Ryan Kerrigan, and this is what Kevin Sheehan said real quick. He said, talking about the problem many have had with Mills going back to Ioannidis wanting out before 2020 started. Underperforming unit last year, so it's justifiable on that alone, but timing is definitely strange. Wonder what brought this into a conclusion now. So I definitely agree that the timing is strange. So I think some maybe argument happened. Like, I don't think anything like that big happened in terms of like drama, but they definitely had a difference of opinion. Maybe Sam Mills, like Ron Rivera was telling him, you got to run it a certain way, and Sam Mills wasn't listening. I think that could be something for sure. But now talking about possibly bringing in Ryan Kerrigan, like, I would love that. I would love that for sure. Bringing Ryan Kerrigan to the Washington Commanders, I think that would be great. And now you can realistically do it as an assistant D-line coach. The only thing is, I just don't really see it for Kerrigan. Like, I don't know if he wants, like, I know, of course, he's a hard worker. He played in the NFL for a long time and one of the better players for the Commanders or Redskins when he was here. But, like, he's a family man. He's got a couple kids, at least maybe 3. And it's just hard, like, for him, to spend that much time with them if he's going to be an assistant coach. So maybe it could be some role within the organization as like a player development guy. Who knows? But I think he will be, working with the organization. And maybe he will be as an assistant D-line coach, but maybe they have 2 assistants so that Kerrigan doesn't have to work all the time. He can just help, like, during the practice, and after that, not much more, because Kerrigan definitely wants to stay involved in the game of football. Warren Sapp could be one that they hire. I don't know. I think Kerrigan is more realistic, though, because he said he's wanted to continue to, or he wants to coach, or he wants to be involved with the game. He played with this organization, obviously has a connection. Played under Ron for a little bit, so I definitely could see Kerrigan coming, but I don't know about as an assistant D-line coach. If it is, I think it'll be less work than most assistant D-line coaches do. But I like this move. Again, feel bad for Sam Mills the person, because he's losing a job. But in terms of like how I think this will impact the team, I think this should have happened last offseason or the year before that. I mean, I was fine with him staying after 2020 because, of course, like, they had a good year. But after the 2021 season, I think he should have been gone. So, at least they did it now. But yeah, that's it for today's video. We'll have a recap on, today's training camp practice, later today. So thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and peace.